Hi, and greetings from Costa Rica. I'm just sitting here on my beautiful balcony. I wanted to talk to you today about my journey and my wellness coaching and what that actually means, what it is that I'm offering. It really comes from my own journey. And my own journey is thus. Back in 2011, I was working for Music Press, working design advertising. I think I was at a festival every weekend that year, traveling all around the world, partying hard. You know, I was very much. I loved my job. I loved working in music. I love music, it's the simple truth, but it was all of the craziness that went with that was just not sustainable, and there was also a lot going on. I come from quite a traumatic past, and I hadn't really dealt with any of the things that had happened to me in my life, and I just masked it all with having fun and partying. But you know, it's always that way when you're out with everybody. You know, there's this one face that you show to the world, but when you're home alone and there's nothing left to help you avoid, you only have you to sit with. And for me, that wasn't a joyous place. And it wasn't long before I really was heading towards the abyss. Depression had taken hold, and I was suicidal. And I didn't really feel there was any way out for me, but fortunately, Spirit did have a different plan. And even though I was very unaware of any of this at the time, I wasn't religious, I wasn't spiritual. I had nothing really in my life, and I was just running, and so. to cut a long story short, my life started to change. I think on a subconscious level, I'd put a call out to the universe that I didn't want to die. You know, I really didn't. I wanted to live, but I wanted a reason to live. I was looking for something. I always thought I was looking for love. You know, I'd spent my whole life looking for this person, you know, this man that was going to save me on some level, and that never really happened. I never was fortunate enough to know love, like in its true form. And so that was, I was chasing a false avenue. But I decided to live, and things started unfolding for me. What really was going on, you know, Spirit had heard my call and was answering. And the first thing that happened is I went to Africa. This wonderful trip just sort of landed in my lap. Some friends had organised, and I just started saying yes to things. It was my stepdad had died, and that was a bit of an awakening for me of, you know, how short life is, and how, you know, by being scared or not saying yes to life was really pointless. So I said yes to the trip, and then I said yes to all manner of fears. I abseiled Table Mountain. I went in a helicopter. I just started embracing life, and this kick-started a transition. And the next thing that happened, another trip landed to go to India, and so that was wonderful. And I went, and I remember at the time, you know, I'd heard of meditating, people were doing it, and I'd read the book by Ram Dass, Be Here Now, and I was just like, what? It just really wouldn't go in. I didn't really get it. And so I went to India, and I met this wonderful woman literally on the plane there, and she gave me Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. And again, I started reading that and was a bit like, oh, this is really frustrating. What do you mean you can control your mind? But yeah, as the trip unfolded, I started meeting other people, which I now know were guides, and there to fully support me. And this wonderful man taught me to meditate. He explained it in such a way that I finally got it. I finally understood that I wasn't my thoughts. I was the thing that thought the thoughts, and it was like, Baha, light dawned, angels sang. and yeah, things really started to change. And I remember getting back to England and just being, okay, you know, life can be different. And the next thing that happened was a spontaneous Kundalini rising. And I don't know if you know what that is, but it is something else. For me, I went to a class because Russell Brand said it was like the crack cocaine of yoga. So I was like, brilliant, that's for me, I'll do it. And it was my second class, and we lay down to meditate, and I literally closed my eyes and felt through the back of my body. It was like, I just expanded. It was just white light and vibration and bliss, like this feeling of just pure bliss. And the only way I can describe it is like sitting in the arms of God. I understood everything. I understood I wasn't my body. I understood I was eternal. It was like I was everything and nothing all at once, and everything made sense, and everything was just love, and just it was that is so hard to explain. It was just perfection and everything. And then I came back into my body, I opened my eyes, and I remember I looked at my friend Richard, who I was with, and I was just like, and was trying to explain, and he was looking at me like, what? So, it was like I was still so super buzzing, like euphoric. And I went home and was just, and everything just started really changing. Like I couldn't really sleep, and I wasn't eating so much, and my thirst for knowledge, like I just couldn't get enough. I just needed to know what was that, what had happened, what's the world, who am I really, what is this place, what is this thing? And yeah, what ensued was this, I guess, 4-year unraveling, this quest. So much happened. It's far too much to put in this video. There will be a book. But as the euphoria kind of faded away, then I started to think I'd gone mad. I literally thought I'd maybe had some sort of breakdown, because my perception of the world had changed and was changing so much. Everything was altered, like space and time weren't the same. But anyway, so I continued in my absorbing of knowledge, of things, and just really trusting this flow. And things got really weird. I'm not even gonna lie, like things got super weird. I was speaking with beings, like beings started coming in, angels, all sorts. And the next sort of like pivotal thing though really was Cambo. I heard about Cambo from a friend and went to do a ceremony, and me being me, I was just like, yeah, sounds great, let's go. I didn't really research it, and I remember as soon as like the medicine went on, I was just like, oh my gosh, what have you done? You're going to die. And on some level I actually think I did, an ego death, like a part of me that was really stuck in old patterns started to dismantle. And the next day I was just like, whoa, wow, I feel alive. And that was when I realized how dead I actually had become when I felt so alive. And I knew that this medicine was for me, and I needed to keep following this path. So the opportunity came to train as a Cambo practitioner. The universe said yes, and I took that opportunity, and I went to Portugal and I trained. and lots of unfolding, lots of revelations all around that. And then I became a Cambro practitioner, and I started serving the medicine and started working with so many people, you know, also on this journey, this healing journey, going through their processes and, you know, supporting them. And whilst supporting them, also having my own unfolding, continuing, you know. It was like, as you give, you receive. And then the next thing, my journey took me to ayahuasca. I moved to Costa Rica. I lived with the ayahuasca community, and yeah, that rabbit hole got so deep. I did a vision quest, and I really went in with some questions. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? And what is here? That was what I wanted to know. And again, far too much to talk about on this video. Wait for the book. But those questions were answered for me on so many levels. And yeah, I wasn't going to leave this place. You know, I thought, that's it. Now I'm a guardian for ayahuasca. I'm going to work with this medicine forever. This is my path. This is my thing. But that wasn't to be. You know, spirit had another mind. I ended up going back to the UK, and yeah, I had a lot of grounding to do, you know, because I'd gone so astral, so far out beyond the realms of the ordinary, that I was really struggling to comprehend the old world, like the three-dimensional world and the old me. I just did not know who I was anymore. It was so I'm light, I'm human, I'm what, like and I just couldn't be. I didn't know how to be. I had all this expanded consciousness, this expanded knowledge, but I was not embodied, and I didn't know that I wasn't embodied, and I didn't even know I was supposed to embody. I was just bouncing. I was quite bipolar. I'd be like super high and super bliss, and then super depressed, and then I was like, wow, now great, I can't even kill myself because you don't die. Like, awesome, thanks ayahuasca. And yeah, it was a real struggle. It really was the dark night of my soul, and it took a lot of going through. And I had an amazing peyote ceremony, which really took me to the depths of my own personal hell. Hardest night of my life. I was shaking so badly, my teeth were chattering. It was just really going and finding that darkness, that depression. But I didn't know enough about shadow work at the time to really help myself process through it. And it was super hard, but again, I just trusted the universe to guide me, and guide me she did. She guided me back here to Costa Rica, and I came and I got here in a really dark place, like really confused, really alone, and just not really knowing what to do. And as blessed as I am, one evening I just fell into this visionary state, and Mary Magdalene came to me, and she took me to this temple space and just cleaned me and held me and just explained about the sacred sisterhood and our divine mission, and told me to trust her, and she would show me the way. And it was so beautiful, so profound. I remember the next morning getting up and sort of like, I didn't know who Mary Magdalene was really. I had no clue. I was raised from a Catholic to Christian background, and you know, she's just some weird whore that appears in the Bible once or twice, but that's just not the truth. And so as I started researching into her and finding out, you know, her story and who she was, it all started to fit into place. And it was a really wonderful discovery. And I was guided, like through my meditations, I meditate and ask spirit, and the guidance comes to me. And yeah, she guided me to just go and be alone. I needed to take time to just be in communion with her, with spirit, to do my inner work, to do my healing. So I did this. I hired a cabin. I was going to go from moon to moon, and just each morning going into my meditation, just really asking, you know, what should we do today, where should we go, and doing this clearing work. And I ended up staying for 4 months, just in this continuous cycle of healing and inner work, you know, using my sound, my voice, my drum, mantras, meditation, building Zen gardens, and, you know, working with medicine, working with cacao, and working with spirit, and just really understanding, you know, what embodiment is and how to clear that space energetically, and like workshopping as well, you know, just really journaling and figuring out who am I. Like, it was kind of interesting because at one point I hadn't seen anyone for quite a while, and I kind of figured maybe I was dead. Maybe I had actually died, because I was doing so much inner work and my life was flashing, you know, before my eyes, my childhood memories, everything was coming back. And I was like, oh, wow, maybe this is it. Maybe I did just die, and this is what they talk about, that limbo state before you ascend or descend or whatever it is, you know, where you go. And then in that whole realization, I was like, okay, but I'm still here wandering around my cabin in this middle of this jungle, so I might as well do something. So then I just started questioning, like, well, who am I? Like, I get to choose. Like all these stories are just stories. All this stuff about my past or these things, they're just stories. It's not real. So I started to write my own story, my new story, and I really started connecting with my inner child, and, you know, just like, what do I like? Like, I'd kind of even forgotten, like, what I like to do, you know, what actually brings me joy. I started doing ballet. It was brilliant. And yeah, in the middle of the jungle, just me wandering around, and then some ballet shoes just manifested as well, which is all quite bizarre, but wonderful. Yeah, so through this process, I just started figuring out who I am, what is my joy, what I like to do, and just got this great insight to what it is to be incarnate in this world and to be a human being. And the next step of the journey was I left the jungle and I went to Australia, and Spirit clearly told me at this point, you are done with the medicine path, you know, we've given you everything you need, and now you are the medicine. Just be, do that work. So I actually enrolled into 12 steps because I realised recovery was going to be a big part of my process, because I'd been an addict since I was 13, again with unprocessed childhood trauma. And I think we're all addicts on some level. It's part of our culture, you know, to drink at the weekends or to, you know, have coffee, shop. Oh my gosh, with technology now, phone addictions and social drugs. I mean, in the UK, cocaine, ecstasy, all of it, it's just normalised. It's so normal and just part of life. It's not, you don't think of this, an addict's not just this dingy or dirty person. It's just normal people. We all are in some way. And I started to really understand this, because I thought, oh God, I'm not going to AA or NA, I'm not an addict. And I remember looking at the 12 steps and being like, that's not me, that's not me, I don't need to be here, this is ridiculous, what am I even doing? And then the funny thing was, the first meeting I went to was in Bondi, and everybody started talking about food. And I was just like, wow, like I have had issues with eating and with food since I was a teenager, from bulimia, binging, starving. Like, one of the reasons I loved taking drugs was because I wouldn't eat, and like my aim was always to be so, you know, I'd want people to walk up to me in the street and try and feed me. It was like being fat or being overweight would be like the biggest crime you could ever commit. And it was just, and I hated myself. I hated everything about my body. If there was an ounce of fat, it was, you know, that was a reason for me to self-loathe, and I loathed to such a degree. It's horrendous, the amount of hatred I put into my poor being. And yeah, so one of the steps is something if you don't have control over your life. And I was like, well, drugs have never had control over me, and neither has alcohol, but food and my ability, my self-image and body image around food, I've never had any control over. This has always ruled me. So that was my aha moment of, yes, I do need to be here. I do need to empower myself, because I'm not empowered. There's another force that rules over me. And so I stuck with it. And then going through the process of recovery, I really started to understand the nature of addiction, and how it's nothing to do with the substance, it's nothing to do with alcohol, drugs, food, or any of it. It's literally to do with our ability to show up for our lives. You know, my ability to show up and be present with my own life has always been the issue, because I hadn't processed through my childhood trauma and my adult trauma. And so I was running from it, masking it, and doing anything to not sit with my feelings and not to sit with me, like the uncomfortableness of just being in the stillness. And it's in the stillness where the bliss actually resides. It's where grace is. It's where joy lives. So I was actually missing out on the very thing I was looking for. And this has been one of the greatest gifts that recovery has given me, by using all these wonderful tools, meditation, chanting, cacao, and workshop and journaling, positive affirmations. All this has just really helped me accept myself and learn to love myself and be able to be in the stillness, and in that stillness find beauty and grace, and be able to look in the mirror and say I love you rather than I hate you. Be able to, positively affirm, I love my life, I love being alive, I love this world, and I really look forward to it every single day I'm here on this planet. And I guess that is now the 12th step. Once you feel fully recovered and aligned, you just want to help, and I just want to help, because I know, like, my story isn't unusual. There's so many people like me out there in the world, and I just know if, like, my story resonates with you, I can help you. And I offer my coaching. It's like we connect weekly via Zoom or in person, and we talk. I take everyone as an individual. We talk about, where you're at, what your goals are, what you want to achieve, what's getting in your way. And I'm really good at, like, intuitively getting in there and seeing maybe what you can't see, what's blocking you, and then we can work through it. We workshop through it, and I give you homework and set you challenges, can give you the things that you need to help you achieve your goals, to help you get where it is you want to be, and to know where that place is. And often, I'm like, I just don't know what I want to do with my life, but we can figure that out as well. So yeah, this is why I wanted to share my story with you, so you know where I come from and where I teach from. And if you have any questions or you want to get in touch, please comment below, message me. There's the link to my website if you want to know more. But thank you so much for taking your time to listen and to connect, and have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Thank you.